Happy Tuesday morning, April 20th, 2021. I'm Riley King, and welcome to this Tuesday morning edition of The Morning Show with Riley King. It's time to rise and shine and get this Tuesday off to a good start. So sit back, relax, and grab that good cup of coffee and enjoy this Tuesday morning edition of The Morning Show with Riley King. Happy Tuesday, everyone. Tuesday, April 20th, 2021. Let's begin. First up, we're going to take a look at your COVID-19 dashboard from Johns Hopkins University in Medicine. Let's take a look at that right now. First up, your global cases, 142,960. U.S. cases are 31,738,706. Your global deaths are 3,031,236. And your U.S. deaths are 567,729. That is a look at your COVID-19 dashboard from Johns Hopkins University and Medicine. And now let's take a look at your other news. First up, jury deliberates Chauvin case in the death of George Floyd. Let's take a listen to that video from ABC News.
Good evening. It's great to have you with us as we start another week together here. A very busy start to the week tonight, and we begin this evening with the dramatic moments in court today. The prosecution and the defense, their final arguments in the trial of former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin. Tonight, it is now the jury's turn. They have been given instructions by the judge, and from this point forward, they will be sequestered until there's a verdict. The prosecution starting by weaving a very personal narrative about George Floyd, reminding the jurors he had a family, he was loved, had a deep connection to his mother, who he called out for during those 9 minutes, 29 seconds, repeatedly saying he could not breathe. The prosecutor saying this is not an anti-police prosecution. This is about Officer Derek Chauvin, who betrayed the badge, they said, and the police witnesses who testified about that betrayal. The prosecution telling the jurors what they told them in their opening statement weeks ago, that you can believe your eyes, that this is a homicide. The defense arguing that Derek Chauvin acted reasonably, that he followed police guidelines. Chauvin taking off his mask so the jury could see him as his attorney defended him in the closing argument. His lawyer asking jurors to consider what came before those 9 minutes, the 60 minutes before, and to consider other factors that could have played a role in George Floyd's death. The prosecution's rebuttal saying our task is to show that Derek Chauvin and his knee to Floyd's neck was a substantial cause of death, not the only cause, but a substantial one. Reminding the jurors of the 9-year-old girl who testified and what she said that day, witnessing it all, to get off him. Tonight, what comes next now? The jurors sequestered, and ABC's Alex Perez leads us off now from Minneapolis.
The prosecution's closing message to the jury was clear. Believe your own eyes. What you saw in the video of George Floyd's final moments was murder, plain and simple.
It's exactly what you believed. It's exactly what you saw with your eyes. It's exactly what you knew. It's what you felt in your gut. It's what you now know in your heart. This wasn't policing. This was murder.
Prosecutor Steve Slisher arguing Floyd posed no threat to Derek Chauvin.
George Floyd was not a threat. He never was. He wasn't resisting. He just wasn't able to comply. They had him handcuffed.
He took on the defense notion that Floyd experienced a surge of strength in the struggle.
There was no superhuman strength that day. Just a human, just a man, lying on the pavement, being pressed upon, desperately crying out. A grown man crying out for his mother. A human being.
The prosecutor arguing Chauvin used excessive force, violating both the spirit and the letter of police department policy.
George Floyd begged until he could speak no more, and the defendant continued this assault.
Again and again, he emphasized that the police force itself is not on trial, just one rogue officer.
The defendant is on trial not for being a police officer. He's not on trial for who he was. He's on trial for what he did.
The prosecution's closing argument lasting about an hour and 45 minutes. The defense spending nearly 3 hours. Chauvin removing his mask so the jury could see his face as his attorney argued he acted as a reasonable police officer would have acted.
You have to take into account that officers are human beings, capable of making mistakes in highly stressful situations.
Defense attorney Eric Nelson telling the jury the bystander video of Floyd's final moment does not tell the whole story.
A reasonable police officer would, in fact, take into consideration the previous 16 minutes and 59 seconds. Their experience with the subject, the struggle that they had.
He showed video of Floyd resisting in the police vehicle.
Mr. Floyd was able to overcome the efforts of 3 police officers while handcuffed.
And he argued the bystanders seemed like a threat.
A reasonable police officer is recognizing that the crowd is in crisis. So a reasonable police officer considers his department's training. What are these potential signs of aggression that I may be confronted with?
The defense also arguing drugs and heart disease led to Floyd's death.
The failure of the state's experts to acknowledge any possibility at all, that any of these other factors in any way contributed to Mr. Floyd's death defies medical science, and it defies common sense and reason.
The prosecution challenging that point in rebuttal, arguing even if Floyd's drug use and heart condition contributed to Floyd's death, what matters is that Derek Chauvin's actions caused his death. Prosecutor Jerry Blackwell recalling the testimony of the 9-year-old girl who took the witness stand.
The fact that it's so simple that a child could understand it. In fact, a child did understand it when the 9-year-old girl said, "Get off of him." That's how simple it was. Get off of him.
Alex Perez joined us now from Minneapolis. And Alex, the case is now in the jury's hands tonight. The judge instructing them not to let bias, prejudice, passion, sympathy, or public opinion influence their decision, and warning them not to consider what consequences their verdict might have. These jurors likely know that the country is watching.
Yeah, David, the judge very slowly and carefully explaining all of those instructions to the jury. Beginning tonight, they will be sequestered during deliberations. They'll work each evening until about 7:30. They've also been given laptops with all of that video and other evidence that they saw in court. David?
Alex Perez leading us off from Minneapolis. Alex, thank you.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Massive migration center closed in Houston, Texas. Let's take a listen to that video from ABC News.
Whatever you're looking for, your best shopping starts with Google.
Tonight, the Biden administration abruptly closing a detention center housing hundreds of unaccompanied migrant girls. The allegations about what happened inside are disturbing tonight. ABC's chief White House correspondent Cecilia Vega and what she's learned, exclusive details on the allegations, and of course the question, why was the center allowed to open in the first place?
Tonight, this massive warehouse in Houston is closed. The nearly 500 unaccompanied migrant girls housed there abruptly moved. ABC News obtaining this exclusive video, staffers removing their belongings, girls being driven off in buses, and this exchange with police at the scene.
For their own safety.
Facing an influx at the border, the Biden administration rushed to open the center, awarding a $4 million contract to the National Association of Christian Churches, a group that specializes in disaster relief, not caring for migrant kids. But just 17 days later, that contract ended after what sources say were multiple allegations, including not enough staffers to accompany children to the bathroom, some girls told to use plastic bags to relieve themselves, children sitting on cots most of the day, non-existent outdoor space. Migrant rights advocate Cesar Espinosa toured the site 2 weeks ago.
The girls were not allowed to get up unless it was to shower or to use the restroom. Even their meals were delivered to their cots.
Tonight, this new video showing the warehouse full of cots and the belongings left behind. A lawyer for the church group tells ABC News the administration, including Health and Human Services Secretary Javier Becerra, personally requested their services and that they did what they could do to help under the direction of HHS. But tonight, the Biden administration not answering questions about how a group with little to no experience working with migrant children was awarded a multi-million-dollar contract to do exactly that.
And officials here are refusing to answer specifics about how this group was vetted and how they were ultimately awarded this contract. One White House official says this specific site did not meet the Biden administration's very high standard for child welfare. David, as for those girls, some are headed to other shelters now. Others, they tell me, will be reunited with family members here in the United States.
All right, Cecilia Vega with exclusive reporting today. Cecilia, thank you.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And we're going to switch gears now. Let's go into weather. Let's take a look at the weather across the United States for all of you for this Tuesday. As you can see, there's some snow here, and then there's some rain off over here, and rain off in the ocean here, and some rain showers down by Florida as well. And a few rain showers over here. Otherwise, the rest of the United States looks good and dry. And that is a look at the weather across the United States for this Tuesday. And we are going to switch gears now. 3 must-known yoga moves to refresh yourself. Let's take a look at that video right now.
Challenging times are nothing new. Neither are resilient people. There's strength in every family story. Learn more about yours at Ancestry.
Is a time to reset and refresh. And you know what? Who better to help us do that than the author of Clean Mind, Clean Body, a 28-day plan for physical, mental, and spiritual self-care. So joining us now is yoga and wellness expert Tara Stiles. Tara, thank you so much for being with us. And you know, a lot of us are looking and have looked to yoga as a way to refresh or restart. What should we specifically be focusing on?
My goodness, thanks for having me. And I think the greatest thing about yoga is it works best when it feels like you. So of course you can do more when you practice, but the real benefit is how you feel along the way. So I'm excited to share with you all 3 moves that help with balance, stability, help reduce stress. And most importantly, that refresh vibe comes from creating and maintaining that great connection with yourself. So should we give it a try?
Yeah, I'd love to see the first move because, you know, yoga can be intimidating to a lot of people who haven't tried it. So, and I've done it a couple of times, and it does make a huge difference in your life. So, yeah, first move, please.
Okay, first move, so tree. Just shift your weight into one side and real simply connect your foot into your leg. Can be low or high. Doesn't really matter. And, you know, yoga isn't about touching your toes. It's not about the pose. It's about how you feel in the move. So with tree specifically, stay soft and easy. You can sway in the breeze a little bit and really feel connected with yourself. This, of course, is great for your core, but more importantly, great for feeling that nice, refresh connection with you.
I love that. All right. Your next move is one of my favorites, Warrior 2. Show us how you do it.
Yeah, warrior true. So you are a really strong warrior lady here. So we all need this here. So one toes forward, the other toes back. And the great thing about warrior is you don't want to go to war with yourself. So you can be strong and stable. A true warrior uses this great practice of wu wei. So that means to use what you need and simply rest what you don't. So it's really the principle of being efficient in yourself. You can achieve more and actually de-stress in the process.
I'm feeling less stressed just watching you do it and describe what you're doing. All right. The last move is a good move to end on. Show us what that is.
So this is something that we literally do all day long, just rolling up and rolling down from the ground. And you can really make self-care all of the time, not just in your special workout or your yoga time here. So this is, of course, great for back health, for spine health, and as we get older, of course, balance and coordination is really important. But even for the young folks out there, it's great to prevent injury and to feel better in the process. So really letting your breath move you. Inhales filling you up and exhales softening, relaxing, and getting that great refresh vibe.
And Tara, how often or how long would you suggest doing these moves? 10 minutes? Is that too little? What do you typically suggest to people, especially those who are just starting out?
Well, every day is the most important. You know, if you can breathe, you can do yoga, and you don't need to think about fancy positions or, you know, endpoints, being super flexible. So just taking these 3 movements, you know, right in your living room alone or with family, and just do it every day. You know, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, that's perfect to help you get that connection with yourself, and the benefits are long-lasting.
Yeah, and it's something that everyone can do. Tara Stiles, thank you so much. We appreciate your time.
Anytime. Thanks so much. Hope you feel better.
Oh, thank you. And Clean Mind, Clean Body is now available wherever books are sold.
Well, hey there, GMA fans.
Okay, there you go. Good yoga tips there. And we're going to switch gears now. And let's go into entertainment news. And in entertainment news, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle considering naming baby number 2 after Princess Diana. Let's take a listen to that video from Entertainment Tonight.
What we know about this couple is they do put a lot of time and thought into names, but I'm sure they've probably got a very good idea of what they're going to call their little girl. And I think many people are expecting that Diana is going to be one of her names. I absolutely think that they will want to include Diana as perhaps one of the names for their little girl. Maybe not as her first name, but I'm sure it's very high up on the list in terms of the second Christian name. And I think that's quite simply because it would be, for Harry, a wonderful way to pay tribute to his mother. Of course, the Cambridges gave Charlotte Diana as a middle name. I don't think that precludes Harry and Meghan from doing exactly the same thing. I think it's very likely to be chosen as a middle name. Meghan is going to take some maternity leave. She didn't have much maternity leave last time round. She was really busy launching a clothing collection for Smartwork. She was putting the finishing touches to her Vogue issue. So I think she worked incredibly hard during her first pregnancy and didn't take much maternity leave. But I'm told second time round, she's actually going to make a point of taking some time out, enjoying this time, and Prince Harry's also going to take his paternity leave too. You know, he's very much a modern dad, and he's entitled to that time. He's going to take that time. I think there's always the hope that a new baby will help to heal any rifts. They're obviously a source of absolute joy, and you know, William and Kate will be incredibly excited to be welcoming a niece into the family. The first girl for Harry and Meghan. Everyone hopes that by the time this little girl arrives, there will have been more conversations and they will be in a better place. And of course, Harry's due to come over in July for the unveiling of the Diana statue. So I think there are opportunities for a better relationship between the brothers. And I think we've seen the start of that this weekend at the funeral.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And that does it for this Tuesday edition of The Morning Show with Riley King. Thank you for joining us and watching, and have a wonderful Tuesday, everyone. Goodbye.